Götterdämmerung. Twilight of the Gods, WWV 86D, is the last in Richard Wagner's cycle of 4 music dramas titled The Ring of the Nibelung. It received its premiere on 17 August 1876 as part of the first complete performance of the whole work. The title is a translation into German of the Old Norse phrase which in Norse mythology refers to a prophesied war among various beings and gods that ultimately results in the burning, immersion in water, and renewal of the world. As with the rest of the ring, however, Wagner's account diverges significantly from these Old Norse sources. Composition. Der Ring des Nibelungen, composition of the text. Der Ring des Nibelungen, composition of the music. Der Ring des Nibelungen, composition of the music. Prelude. Prelude to the prologue. Scene 1. The 3 Norns, daughters of Verda, the goddess of nature, gather beside Brunhilde's rock weaving the rope of destiny. From it they read of the past, the present, and of the future when Valhalla will be set on fire and the end of the gods will come. Welch Litluch et Ort. As their narration approaches the point when they want to sing about the fate of Alberic's ring and its curse, and as the themes of Siegfried and the curse of the ring are heard, the rope breaks. Lamenting the loss of their wisdom, the Norns disappear, returning to their mother Erda beneath the earth's new edges within. Orchestral interlude Tage Grown Dawn. Scene 2. As day breaks, Siegfried and Brunhilde emerge from their dwelling high on a mountaintop surrounded by magic fires. Unu and Thetan, Thurahilda. Brunhilde sends Siegfried off to new heroic deeds, urging him to keep their love in mind. Siegfried proclaims himself to be, through his love for Brunhilde, just an executor of her will, and as a pledge of fidelity gives her the ring of power that he took from Fafnir's hoard. In a duet both extol their loving bond, which nothing can untie even when distance keeps them apart, or highlights Goethe. Bearing Brunhilde's shield and mounting her horse Grain, Siegfried then rides away. Orchestral interlude Siegfried's Rhine journey. Scene 1. The act begins on the shores of the Rhine in the hall of the Gibichungs, a people named after King Gibich. Gunther, his son and heir, sits enthroned. Gunther's half-brother and chief minister Hagen advises him to find a wife for himself and a husband for Guthrun, the sister of them both, to enlarge the glory and might of their dynasty and secure it for the future. He suggests Brunhilde, the noblest of women, is appropriate for Gunther, and Siegfried, the dragon slayer, the greatest of heroes, as the best husband for Guthrun. Neither Gunther nor Guthrun knows how to win themselves such partners, but Hagen reminds Guthrun that he has given her a potion she can use to make Siegfried forget any woman he has ever seen and fall in love with her. Enamored of Guthrun, Siegfried will then also be surely willing to bring Brunhilde. He sleeps on the mountaintop encircled by fire. Only the fearless can pass to Gunther in order to gain from him the permission for marriage with Guthrun. Gunther and Guthrun, not knowing that Siegfried and Brunhilde are actually in love with each other, agree enthusiastically with this plan. Scene 2. Siegfried lands near the Gibichung hall with his boat, seeking to meet Gunther, of whose fame he has heard during his journey. Heil, Siegfried, Thurahilde. Gunther extends hospitality to the hero, and Guthrun offers him the potion. Unaware of deception, Siegfried toasts Brunhilde and their mutual love and drinks. In a while he loses his memory of her and is struck by desire for Guthrun. Shrugged, Siegfried then offers to win a wife for Gunther, who tells him about Brunhilde and the magic fire, which only a fearless person can cross. They swear blood brotherhood, mixing their blood in a drinking horn Blüenden Lebensblut. Hagen holds the horn but does not join in the oath, and the 2 new brothers then leave for Brunhilde's rock. Hagen, left on guard duty, cloaks that his so-called masters are unwittingly bringing the ring to him. Her sits so what Hagen's what. Orchestral interlude. Scene 3. Meanwhile, Brunhilde is visited on her rock by her Valkyrie sister Waltraud, who recounts that Wotan returned from his wanderings with his spear shattered. The spear was the symbol of the god's authority and the source and instrument of his power, carved with all the treaties through which he ruled. Unable to influence events anymore, he has ordered branches of the world tree to be piled around Valhalla by its heroes and waits in resignation for his ravens to bring him news about the ring. Hermitsen was dire sage Waltraud's monologue. Waltraud begs Brunhilde to return the ring to the Rhine maidens, but Brunhilde refuses to relinquish Siegfried's pledge of love, and Waltraud rides away in despair. Crossing the Ring of Fire, Siegfried arrives disguised as Gunther by using the Tonhelm and claims Brunhilde for his wife Brunhild, ein Freier Kamm. Though Brunhilde, terrified by the appearance of an unknown man, tries to resist him, without the divine powers she has earlier renounced for love's sake, she has now nothing with which to defend herself but the ring, which Siegfried manages to snatch cruelly from her hand during a fight, putting it afterwards on his own hand instead. He then spends the night with Brunhilde on her rock, placing the magic sword Nothin between them as a witness to his loyalty to Gunther and his keeping the promise to bring Brunhilde untouched. Nothing is used to. Act Roman 2. Prelude to Act Roman 2. Scene 1. As Hagen sits sleeping on night watch, his father Alberich appears and urges him to obtain the ring Chestu. Hagen, main son. Hagen, barely conscious, swears to do so, and Alberich vanishes with pleas for Hagen to remain loyal to him. Orchestral interlude Mortimer, the Blush of Dawn. Scene 2. Siegfried arrives at dawn by Tonhel magic back to the settlement of the Gibbetchungs, having resumed his natural form and left Brunhild on a boat on the Rhine with Gunther. He explains to Guttrun how he managed to change his form back from Gunther's just in time for Brunhilde to not be able to recognize the deceit. Scene 3. Hagen summons the Gibbetchung vassals to welcome Gunther and his bride Hagen to Hagen's call. He does this by sounding the war alarm. The vassals are surprised to learn that the occasion is not battle, but their master's wedding and party. Hagen announces that Gunther has won himself a wife and orders them to slay sacrificial animals so that gods may grant a happy marriage. The vassals are then told to defend their new queen's honor if someone were to wrong her. Scene 4. Gunther lands on the Rhine shore in front of Siegfried, Guttrun, Hagen, and the assembled Gibbetchung men and women, and leads in a downcast Brunhilde as his trophy. With false pomp, he then triumphantly announces a double wedding, Brunhilde to himself and Guttrun to Siegfried. Brunhild, die Heisfrei. Brunhild almost faints in despair as she now sees her beloved, who doesn't even recognize her, with a different woman. However, she notices the ring on Siegfried's hand and realizes she has been betrayed. Betrug schändlich to betrug. Declaring publicly that the man who conquered her and took the ring was not Gunther, but Siegfried in disguise, she exposes Gunther as an impostor who tried to increase his own prestige through the deeds of someone else. Filled with unquenchable desperate rage, she also denounces Siegfried and falsely accuses him of having an intercourse with her while in Gunther's form, thus breaking his blood brotherhood with Gunther. Siegfried denies Brunhild's charge, but the vassals urge him to prove his innocence by taking an oath. Hagen offers his spear as the weapon by which Siegfried can do so. Siegfried agrees and swears upon Hagen's spear point that he may be killed with it if he has ever loved Brunhilde Hellweyer, Highlight Dwarf. She also seizes the spear and swears that Siegfried may be killed with it for swearing the false oath. Once again, Hagen supervises silently as others take oaths to his advantage. The naively light-hearted Siegfried, wishing for his wedding day to be joyful, then leads Guttrun and the bystanders exuberantly off to the wedding feast as if nothing too significant has happened. Orchestral interlude. Scene 5. Brunhilde, Hagen, and Gunther do not join the celebration and stay alone by the shore. Deeply shamed by Brunhilde's outburst in front of his subjects and thus threatened in his authority, Gunther agrees to Hagen's suggestion that Siegfried must be killed in order for Gunther to regain his standing. Indeed, to see Siegfried die is Gunther's duty, since the hero has apparently broken the sacred bond of blood brotherhood during the night on the rock with Brunhilde, which betrayal condemns him by law to the rightful punishment of death. Brunhilde, seeking revenge for Siegfried's manifest treachery, joins the plot and tells Hagen that Siegfried would be vulnerable only to a stab in the back. Hagen and Gunther decide to lure Siegfried on a hunting trip and murder him. They sing a trio in which Brunhilde and Gunther vow in the name of Wotan, guardian of oaths, to kill Siegfried, while Hagen repeats his pledge to Alberich to acquire the ring and rule the world through its power. Right Hers Adventures Trio. Act Roman 3. Prelude to Act Roman 3. Scene 1. In the woods by the bank of the Rhine, the Rhine maidens swim playfully and sing a song to the sun, mourning their lost Rhine gold. Frau Son sendet Lichtstrahlen. Siegfried happens by, separated from the hunting party while searching for prey. The Rhine maidens urge him to return the ring to the Rhine and thus avoid its curse, but he laughs at them in heroic pride and says he prefers to die rather than bargain for his life. They swim away, predicting that Siegfried will die this very day and that his heir, a lady, will treat them more fairly. Scene 2. Siegfried rejoins the hunters, who include Gunther and Hagen. While resting, he sings them in high spirits a hero's song about the adventures of his youth. Mime he signed Mauritius' work, recounting his life with mine, the forging of Nothing, slaying the dragon Fafnir, and understanding the language of birds. Hagen gives him another potion, which restores his memory, and Siegfried tells of discovering the sleeping Brunhilde and awakening her with a kiss. Upon hearing this, now having the apparent evidence of Siegfried's betrayal of the blood brotherhood in front of Gunther and his men, Hagen stabs Siegfried in the back with his spear, declares that he had avenged perjury, and calmly walks away. In his final agony, Siegfried recollects the awakening of Brunhilde and his love for her, and with the memory of blessed fear the feeling for Brunhilde had taught him, seeing her giving him greetings in a vision, dies Brunhilde Heiligbrot. His body is carried away in a solemn funeral procession that forms the interlude as the scene is changed and recapitulates many of the themes associated with Siegfried and the Welsums. Orchestral interlude. Siegfried's trial music. Siegfried's funeral march. Scene 3. Back in the Gibbetchung hall, Guttrun awaits Siegfried's return. Hagen arrives ahead of the funeral party. Guttrun is devastated when Siegfried's corpse is brought in. Confronted with his sister's pain, Gunther blames Siegfried's death on Hagen, who replies that Siegfried had incurred the penalty of his false oath. Moreover, he claims the ring on Siegfried's finger by right of conquest. When Gunther objects, Hagen appeals to the vassals to support his lawful claim. Gunther draws his sword, but Hagen attacks and easily kills him. As he moves to take the ring, however, Siegfried's hand rises miraculously in a threatening gesture. Hagen as well as all present recoil in utmost fear. Brunhilde, with her features as if transfigured, suddenly makes her entrance Schweigu as Jammer's Jordan in Schwal, having in the meantime met on the river shores the daughters of the Rhine, who talk to her about the ring and its curse. She proclaims Siegfried innocent, as she now recognizes that he betrayed her only due to an intrigue, and declares that Siegfried's betrayal and death were necessary for her to become all-knowing and completely free. As the queen of the diverges, she issues orders for a huge funeral pyre for the dead hero to be assembled by the river Stockschatz and takes from Siegfried's hand the ring. The Rhine maidens are to claim it from her own ashes after fire has cleansed it of its cursed main mythology. Lighting the pyre with a firebrand, she then sends Wotton's ravens home with anxiously longed for tidings and tells them to command Lodge, the god of fire that still burns on her rock, to fly to Walhalla and set it on fire 3 times by her raven. After an apostrophe to the dead hero, Brunhilde, willing to be reunited with her love, mounts her horse Grain and rides into the flames, joining Siegfried in death. A sequence of leitmotifs portray the fire flaring up, and the whole of the Gibbetschungs catching fire and collapsing. The Rhine overflows its banks, quenching the flames, and the Rhine maidens swim in to claim the ring. Hagen in a frenzy tries at the last moment to stop them and seize the ring for himself, but they drag him into the depths and drown him Zurich vom Ring, the theme of the curse being then heard for the last time. As they celebrate the return of the ring to the river and the breaking of its curse, a red glow spreads through the sky. The surviving Gibbetschungs now see the interior of Walhalla with gods and heroes visible as described by Wolfrott in Act I, Scene 3. A new fire flares up around the whole of the gods, hiding it from sight. The gods are consumed in flames and the curtain falls. At the very end of the work there emerges the sound of the Liebeslied motive, the redemption through love leitmotif. Noted excerpts. 2 extended orchestral selections of Don and Siegfried's Rhine journey, and a British excerpt from the prologue without the singers, and Siegfried's funeral march lifted and cut from Act Roman 3 are often presented outside the opera house, and are published separately from the lengthy work. Early versions of these selections were approved by Wagner. These excerpts include specially composed endings so that the excerpt is better able to stand on its own as a complete composition. Other notable excerpts include Siegfried and Brunhilde's duet prologue. This is part of Don and Siegfried's Rhine journey. Hagen's watch Act I, Hagen summons the vassals, and the wedding march Act Roman 2, Brunhilde's Malaysian scene Act Roman 3 as a soprano solo with orchestra. Hagen's single line is omitted. According to Albert Speer, the Berlin Philharmonic's last performance before their evacuation from Berlin at the end of World War II in Europe was of Brunhilde's Malaysian scene at the end of the opera. Reactions. Robert A. Hall, Jr. has analysed the opera in terms of cultural symbolism. Hermann Danneser has discussed the dramaturgy of the ending of Götterdämmerung in the context of the entire ring cycle. William Kinderman has evaluated a large-scale instance of musical recapitulation in Act Roman 3 of the opera. Warren J. Darcy has expostulated on the potential influence of Wagner's readings of the philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer on the music of the ring cycle, particularly on the ending of Götterdämmerung. The historian John Roberts suggested that the killing of Siegfried by Hagen with a stab in the back gave inspiration for the myth that the German army did not lose World War I, but was instead defeated by a treasonous stab in the back from civilians, in particular Jews and socialists. The German-based Kurt Moll pointed out that the part of the principal villain, Hagen, is unique in the bass repertoire. It requires a shouting, blaring vocal technique that risks damaging the singer's voice. Only very large-voiced, powerful singers can sing it. Moll himself avoided the role. Friedrich Nietzsche's 1888-1889 book Götterdämmerung, Twilight of the Idols is a pun on the title of Götterdämmerung, with Götze being the German word for idol or false god. Recordings. Götterdämmerung discography.